Finding Your Tribe, How to Build Catholic Community Right Where You Are. This week on Happy Hour. Welcome back to Happy Hour, our podcast for young adults here at the Cathedral of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. I'm Rick.
And I'm Janet.
We're going to talk about community today.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Me too.
You know, we have a great community here.
Yes, we do.
But what's interesting too is I was under the assumption, well, and I should never be under this assumption, but I was under the assumption that we were doing pretty well with people knowing that we have a vibrant young adult community, right? I mean, we seemingly have a lot of young adults in a lot of different areas plugged in, journeying together. And yet we just recently had a event. It was a s'mores night that was supposed to be outside, but it didn't happen. A little rain sent us inside. That's okay. And so that's always iffy, like, it's going inside. I mean, What was your expectation for people that showed up? Did you expect a lot of people, handful of people?
I expected quite a lot of people. I feel like last time we did the bonfire, it was quite successful. And I feel like people just kicked back, like loved being outside together. Like, I feel like, I expected there to be like a good amount of people. Yeah,
I mean, I expected an okay amount. I just didn't know with the rain outside, with the weather. I just didn't know how it was going to play out. Because sometimes it is what it is.
Yeah.
But a really good amount of people showed.
Yeah,
it was wonderful to see. And in that really good amount of people, there were multiple new people that I'd never seen before ever, right? And one of those new people was actually not a new person, has been in this community for a long time, went to school here, UT, all that stuff. And yet this person had no idea that we had a young adult community that got together, did things, worshiped together, Bible studies, all those things. And so I think it's good that we're going to talk about this today because we're not I think we're writing under the assumption that because we know, everybody knows. And it's not that we don't advertise. I think we advertise fairly well, but I think more so the point is we always have to be keeping things in front of people. It's a busy world. We have a lot on our plates. And if we're not, it's not that we have to constantly be the drum, right? Boom, 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 and we're always in front of you. But it's always this gentle reminder of we are here for you and with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why it's good to have this podcast today.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we talk about Christian communities, there's a couple different ways to look at this. I feel like it would be great though if we started with what does a Christian community look like for the extreme end, right? Like, meaning. Let me explain that. And I'm not talking you're all becoming priests and nuns and there it is, ultimate Christian community, boom, all the time, right? But I'm talking, what does it look like to live in a Christian community where you're surrounded by Christian people all the time? So meaning you're living with you're not just experiencing a Christian community like we do here with different events and groups that meet, but this is all the time. This is when you go home, guess what? We're there. when you leave, guess what? We're still there. So you've had the opportunity to live in that kind of Christian community. Give us a couple insights on that. What is that like? Was that beneficial? Did it harm more than it did good? Kind of what was your experience, Janet?
Yeah, I can talk on that. So I've actually have had the pleasure of living in community twice.
What?
Currently, and then when I was in Francis Corps. So a little background on me. When I was in college, I never really found like that intentional like faith community. I had really good friends when I was an undergrad, which was quite a big blessing. And, but like, I always felt like there was that something was missing and like that intentional community was missing. Always felt that. And, when I graduated, I was like, maybe it was never meant for my college experience to have that. And I don't know, I kind of felt like, dang, maybe God kind of forgot about me there for a second, but in reality, I think I was saying, actually, I have something way better. And then I decided to do Francis Corps. And I had to live in an intentional faith community with 7 other people. So it was 8 of us in this like cute little like yellow house, and we had to eat a meal every single day together. We had to pray every single day together. And every Sunday we had to do faith sharing, and we had to have a community night once a week with like our director, like with a guest, which was either a director, associate director, or a chaplain. So going into that, I was like, oh, I had the expectation that this is going to be good. It ended up being way better than I ever could have expected.
What is Francis Corps? What do they do?
Yes. So Francis Corps is a year-long volunteer service program in which you live in community and you also do service work. So we had different sites. So like each of my community members, like we're serving in different places, like either hospice care with the homeless, soup kitchen, with moms who may not have like a home or like are experiencing difficult circumstances during their pregnancy. So, and then with refugees, 3 of us served at the refugee agency, but we were all including myself, we were all in different areas of the office. So yeah, it's a service program. That's mainly what it's about. But, I don't know. I like to think that the service was the bonus because the community ended up being like life-changing for me. And I think for all of us, I mean, I would consider my Francis Corps community to be like my family, like always and forever. Like, I think we're always going to have that connection, and I'm always like going to be seeking them out. Like, I do still seek them out. I text them quite frequently, maybe not as frequently as I should right now because I've been really busy, but yeah, it changed a lot of things for me because, you know, I think it was so important that we all prayed together every single day.
Right.
And that made quite a big difference. Like, I can't imagine us having to pray once a week, because if that was the case, I don't think we would have been as close as we were. Every single person took a turn, like leading prayer, like every different day, obviously. And I think through that, we learned a lot about each other, our spirituality, and just like how we pray and how we like, you know, think, and our, you know, our personalities. So that was just so beneficial, like to learn how other people pray and how God is talking to them. But honestly, the biggest thing about living in that intentional faith community is that I've never had people who desired my sainthood, like ever.
Wow.
And never really felt like, wow, these amazing people, like I desire their sanctity. Like, I want to see them up in stone, like I do when I like went to the Vatican, like in Rome, right? Like seeing like all the saints in stone, like, right? Like that's gorgeous. And it's just like, wow, one day, like I want you all to be up there, right? And you guys desire for me to be up there. And I think that changes like a lot of things in your friendship and your relationship with each other, because it's different than just being a good Christian friend. It's different than just being an acquaintance, right? Yeah. It's like, wow, like I desire your sanctity to the point that I'm going to call you out when I think you're being wrong. And I'm going to tell you that, hey, I want you to be a better person. Like, and I expect them to do the same thing. Like they expect me to do the same thing. And I expect them to do that to me. So that was my Francis Corps experience.
And now you're currently... And
now I'm currently in community.
In a similar way, the same experience, but just it's the application's a little bit different,
yeah, right? It is. So now I'm in ECHO, right? And which is a service program through the University of Notre Dame. So, you know, we do service for the church for 2 years as we're getting our master's degree in theology, and we also have to live an intentional community. So I live with 2 other lovely ladies. So we're a community of 3. And
there's some similar things, right?
Yes.
With Francis Corps, like kind of some requirements that you have to do every week or once a week, or what are those similarities? Because I really like them a lot. I think this is what takes living in a Christian community to a whole other level.
Yes, for sure.
You're not just surrounding yourself with Christians, because that's nice, but this is all intentional. So what are the similarities?
So the similarities are like, once a week we have community night, right? Which is like what I did in Francis Corps. And once a month, like our EFA like comes and like joins us for our activity and our dinner, which is very similar to
what's an EFA? You're
our EFA.
Everybody's friend always.
Our EFA is our Echo Formation Assistant. Yes.
Excellent.
So like we have a formator in Echo, right? Mine's is Jeff Burdell, amazing man. And but like obviously he's not here in Tennessee and he can't be in multiple different places at once. So that's why they ask EFAs to kind of help out in that area, overlooking our formation here in Tennessee. Like just someone who can be physically here and like talk to us through all our processes of Echo. So, once a month, like Beth, our EFA, comes over and we have to pray. I think our requirement is once a week during our community night to do prayer and like our house meeting and all of that. So a lot of similarities in that. It's a little bit less like, I don't have to share a meal with them every single day. Like, and quite frankly, it wouldn't quite be possible because we all do ministry at different times. So there's some days that I don't see like my community member Miranda for like probably more than 24 hours. Wow. Right. Yeah. It's just like that.
Just the way it works.
It's just the way it works. Right. But I think being in a smaller community is very different. Like I went from 8 people, right, including myself, to now 3.
Probably into a smaller setting too.
Yes.
Where you're kind of more on, not that you're on top of each other, but you're going to be in proximity with one another a lot. Sure. Yeah.
No, I think that's very correct. Yeah. Like, when being in a community of 8, it's easy and it's okay to like kind of break off from the group or like build a more intentional relationship with others and like other people not really be bothered or notice that because we're such a big group versus like with 3, it's like, wow, it just takes like one person to come in and have it be an all community discussion, right? Or it just takes like 2 people to go off and make someone else feel left out, right? Like it's quite difficult in that regard. But I do think that there is a huge fruit to that, like being in this more smaller, intimate community. Like I think the intimacies are different, right? Compared to like 8 now to 3.
Yeah.
But I think with my current community, like it's, you realize that you have to be much more communicative and much more intentional. Yeah. Like, because it can be easy to always just like drift into this habit of like, oh, always 3, like dancing around together. But you have to be very intentional with like, I want to make sure that I'm getting to know you instead of just like the 3 of us, like in our dynamic. Like I want to know like my relationship with you. How does that look like? Like, how can I build that? How can I desire your sanctity and you desire mine? Right. Yeah. So intentionality has to be like, honestly, I think paramount, like quite key. And, and communication too. Like you're right. Like it's like we're on top of each other, right? Like it's so easy to, like if something happens, like let's say someone spilled something on a counter, it's like, well, it only leaves 2 culprits, right?
Because I know it wasn't me.
Because I know it wasn't me, right? So it's like those like small things, like always.
It's a little bit like family, there's some parallels there for sure. And what's interesting though is I think whether you live in that kind of Christian community or not, there's some things that we can glean from your experience. I think one of them is this desire to pray together.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the funniest thing. I have seen in the past groups come together, Christian groups come together to do Christian things, if it's watch a Christian movie, watch a whatever it is, come together to study or whatever, and they never really pray together. Sure, they might, we'll say an opening prayer and it'll be a rote prayer, which is okay too. Those are great. We need them. A formulaic prayer. However, it changes everything when you intentionally pray for one another, especially when you know one another and you have that vulnerability. So you kind of know, okay, I know what to pray for the most part, I think, but there might be some stuff that I don't know, but I'm getting to know because I'm getting to know you on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
And so that intentional prayer, I think we can all learn from, right? But also I love this idea of this coming together. You have to, you're forced to come together every week. And if it wasn't on the schedule, it probably wouldn't happen. It's so easy to let that slip.
Yes, for
right?
sure.
Like
yeah.
for anybody, truly, I mean, in any relationship, if it's not scheduled, it's so easy to let that slip and just go, oh, you know what? We don't need to this week. We'll just, we'll do another one at some point somewhere. And then all of a sudden, okay, maybe it's just once, but then down the road, it's a couple times, and then you start to lose that connection. So scheduling, I mean, we schedule our oil changes. We schedule our dentist visits, our checkups for medical stuff. Those are all important.
Yeah.
So are relationships. And so we should schedule those too, right? So it doesn't make it impersonal. It just makes it more personal. I want to make sure that we're doing this so much that I'm putting you on my calendar so that nothing else interferes with that. So I think that's a couple things I think we who don't live in the community that you currently do, we can all take away from going a little bit deeper. Let's talk about our community that we do have here at the Cathedral for our young adults. Let's see. Let's talk maybe some of the varieties of things that we have. I'll let you speak on that. Maybe some different opportunities that are here in the young adult community that some people might not even know that we have. We have some amazing things happening. Now, of course, we have our large group events and like the s'mores or the trivia night or the Bob Ross painting night and those, some real fun stuff, right? Kayaking, whatever. We, a few different things. But there's something happening every week for somebody.
Yes.
Right? What are those things that happen kind of week in, week out?
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, let's just list them off, right?
Jump in.
So Sunday mornings, we have our Bible study group that meets right before the 11 a.m. Mass. Mondays, we have a women's Bible study that occurs. And then Tuesday, we have two women's groups. We have another women's group that meets and a men's group that meets in the morning and in the evening. And
those are two separate?
Those are
it's not the same group coming back.
No. It's not the
same
same
They like
group.
each other, but I don't know.
I don't know if they want to meet twice in one day. They're like, you again? No, two different groups. And Wednesday, I feel like this one's the one that goes a little unnoticed sometimes.
Yes, agreed.
Like Adoramus meets. So they do adoration and confession. And then afterwards, they're like, let's go get a drink now. So they go to like a local bar, brewery, and they just grab a drink together and like talk. So I think that one is like, underrated. So then we go to, let's see.
Our big events usually on Thursday nights.
Yes.
Right. Where we gather. So, I mean, sometimes they're on Saturdays and whatever. We try to pepper them in throughout. But I mean, already that's 6 different groups that meet every single week.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And then it all starts back over on Sunday, right?
Yes.
So there's the idea, hopefully, is that there's something for everyone, but we also have a service component.
Yes. That was my other one that I was missing.
Yeah. I kind of figured you were going to hit on that one. So what's our service component look like? What's that?
So our service component, I believe we try to do this once a month. And I think for quite a while, we were serving with CARM, and I think this month we are serving with
Ladies of Charity.
Ladies of Charity, yes. So, trying to switch it up, going to different organizations around town, like hoping to help them and like serve different populations here in Knoxville that are in need. So, our service component's really great for like those who just like maybe don't have plans for a Saturday or like want to build like that serving heart or like want to grow more comfortable with serving others, because sometimes it can be really uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, when I served for a year, like I was really uncomfortable. Like I didn't know how I was going to get the hang of it, but like you learn by actually doing it. Right.
Yep, exactly.
So whether you've never done it before, whether you like want to grow more comfortable, I think our service component's really great. And once a month you can gather with your friends here, right, at the Cathedral, and then you drive on over to wherever we're serving that month.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and again, there's a variety of different things, right? A spice of life, right?
Seriously.
If it's a Bible study, if it's a small group, if it's alpha, if it's service, whatever it is, the goal is to hopefully help everyone to connect in their faith life with other young adults, because it is about a journey together. You're not journeying alone. We're not built for this. Is why when Adam was alone, God said it's not good for man to be alone. So build community. So he literally built community. And that's another important piece here. I think when you build community, you have accountability as well.
Yes.
Right. And we all need accountability. You were speaking about that in your community. So when you have people that you see on a regular basis, you start to build community. Accountability just simply follows, and it's such a good thing. It really is. I love that piece of it as well. I think vulnerability as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's hard. It might be hard. It's so funny because we live in such a open society in terms of like, we'll talk about anything. We'll throw anything out there on social media, right? I mean, people share their feelings all the time on social media, all the feels. And yet, in person, it's different.
Yeah.
Right? When somebody's physically in front of you, it's not a screen. It's not who knows who's reading this. This is a person who's sitting right in front of you, and to be vulnerable in that moment can be hard, can be very difficult, but it's also extremely necessary for our growth. I know I was talking to somebody one time about, they got their heart broken. They were in love with someone and they got completely shattered.
Whoa.
Like completely betrayed and shattered. And this person said to me, I will never be vulnerable like that again.
Wow.
And my immediate thought was, how sad. Right? Vulnerability is just that. You're taking a chance on expecting the reciprocating love that you're giving. That makes it great, exciting, nervous, all those things. But it also can be very hurtful. But it too reminds us of maybe our connection with the Lord. Right? How many times has the Lord been in love with us? Always. And how many times have we reciprocated that love? Probably not as often.
Not so much.
And so what if the Lord said that to us? I am never going to be vulnerable like that again. You keep breaking my heart. So the point really, I think the Lord is asking us to love, to be vulnerable, to experience life with other people. We will be broken, and he knows that. But he doesn't leave us and he doesn't break us. So we always have that constant relationship. But with other people too, we need to be vulnerable so that we can grow as people. So if you always had just a surface level relationship with people, you're never going to grow. It's going to plateau, and you'll always talk about sports and the weather. Right?
Yeah.
And you just can't talk about other things because that makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
But the moment you start trusting others, opening up to others, is the minute that relationships matter. Right?
Yeah.
You've probably had that in your life where you probably had some friends that it's just kind of surface level.
Yeah.
Acquaintances, maybe we'll even call them.
Yeah.
Right? But then there's those special people that you have made a connection with, and you feel like, I could tell you anything. And that changes everything.
That changes everything for real.
Yeah.
Because then they become your forever friend.
Yeah.
And friendship begins to look different. I feel like I lived my entire life with a very different notion of friendship until I lived in intentional faith community. I was like, oh, they meant capital C community.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, in this world, in the society that we live in, like in this pandemic of people feeling lonely, right? And with like this pandemic of anxiety and depression, people feel like there's always something missing, and they desire something. They desire a relationship, right?
Yeah.
But then they get in a relationship, right? And they're just like, something is still missing. And we're made for communion, right? What is missing is a community in which you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
Like belong to people, right? Belong to one another. And I think that vulnerability, that accountability comes from that, right? That pandemic that so many people are experiencing of this loneliness, depression, anxiety, right? I think can be helped a lot by being in community, by having someone tell you, hey, I care about you, and I see you, and I want you to be a better person. Like, I want you to grow. Like, wow. like how amazing, right? How amazing that someone can see you, like actually see you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest pull, right? I think for like my generation and like future generations, like all generations everyone's made for community. Everyone's made to be in communion with others. And that like intentional community, like the one that we have here at the Cathedral, like the ones that I've been a part of, are all made so much stronger by just being intentional, by being vulnerable. And it's scary being vulnerable, right?
Absolutely.
But like, I'm telling you, the people that I've lived with in community, they know everything about me. And like, that's the best part about community, is that you learn so much about yourself. I learned way more about myself living in community than I did in undergrad. And so many people are like, oh, in college is where you learn like who you are and everything. I'm like, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I learned all my study habits, like all those other good things, but living in intentional faith community, that's where I really learned about myself. That's where I learned about my flaws. I'm like, oh, I can be better in this area of my life, right? Yeah. And that's okay to recognize and to be reflective about that.
That's right. So, and there's another piece here that I think is done really well by the young adults here at the Cathedral is hospitality. And that's so key to community, right? Somebody new walks in, they don't know anybody, you're going to be greeted. People are going to make sure that they connect with you because they have the mindset, at least here in this community, they have the mindset that everybody walks through the door. Every single person that walks through the door is important. Every one of them. And this humility that comes from our young adult community to do that, right? What does C.S. Lewis say about humility? It's not about thinking of less of yourself, but it's about thinking less of yourself, right? So somebody new walks in the door. It takes some humility for you to go up and be that person that greets them. Some of us, like me, that's not a problem at all. Right? I'll greet anybody. It doesn't matter. I never met a stranger. But for some other people, that's a tough one. But this humbleness of saying, no, see, you're so important. And I've never even met you, but you're so important that I'm going to break out of my scared shell to make sure that you feel seen. Right?
Yeah.
And that is a piece that is hard to teach. I think you have to model it well, right? And I think the young adults here model it so well. They're just so warm and inviting to any and all, with no judgment. It's just, you're here, and that's the only thing that matters. And let's get to know one another. And I think it's so beautiful. That's why it's a special community here that I am humbled by all the time. So what I would say is, as we kind of wrap up our podcast here, I can't believe it's already been a half hour talking, right?
Yeah.
We could probably go on for another half hour easily,
sure
right?
We can.
But I think a couple of things to keep in mind is when you are looking for friendships, when you're looking for community, which we all are, what is the center of that community? Like what is the building block of why you're even gathering together? If you go to a bar, it's to come together to drink and meet people. I mean, that's literally what it is, right? That's why you go there. If you're going to a play, it's to go see a play and be together. If it's sports, you're going to a sporting event to be together, but the sporting event is the center of what you're doing. However, when the Lord is the center of what you're doing, it doesn't matter what you're doing then, right? Sports, whatever. When the Lord's the center of what you're doing, that's what changes the relationships to being, you used the phrase a little bit earlier, to belonging, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
We belong to the Lord. And what does that mean to belong to the Lord? That's something we'll say for another podcast. But we do, when it's all about Christ, when it's all about the Lord, it doesn't matter what you're doing together then. It's always going to be about Christ. I think that's super strong. I also think that supportive relationships where you've been speaking about that, right? This supporting, hey, whatever it is, I'm here for you. Whether that's let's rejoice together because something great happened, or it's I'm seeing something that's not good in your life, and I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it. Let's journey. Right. I think those couple of components, but also I really love the idea where we can come together and actually So it's not just coming together for entertainment value. It's let's go serve. Let's do something with this life. Let's come together and read scripture. Let's find out more about what the Lord has been trying to tell us. Let's come together and talk about life and journey together through ups and downs. And that's what I see here at the community, at the young adult community here at the Cathedral, right?
Yes, no, for sure. And I think that coming in, like I came in August, right? That was one of the most surprising things to see, and to have like strangers, right, totally welcome me and say, you are part of our community now. And I'm a total outsider, right? But like, it's like you said, that hospitality component makes such a huge difference. But like, also like, I would like to say, like, for those who are searching for like their community, for a sense of community, for a sense of belonging and being in communion with others, like, it's also so important, like, to pray for that God bring you the right people that he wants to be in your path, for you to journey along with them, like for hopefully the rest of your life. Like the great thing about intentional communities, that you really do build those forever friends, because that vulnerability, that accountability, that intentionality makes such a huge difference. Yeah. Like you can't just go from that and then all of a sudden be acquaintances, like, cause it's so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
So praying for that, right, is a huge thing. And like, I mean, I prayed for that all through undergrad, 4 years, right? And then literally when I graduated, God was like, okay, here you go. And it was so much better than I could have ever done for myself, so much better than I could have ever imagined, right? And that's just the beauty of allowing God to work in your life and allowing him to bring the people he wants you to meet and to journey with in life. So
yeah, I love it. I love that. And if you're searching for that too, I mean, please know that we have an adoration chapel. It's open 24/7. So you want to pray about it before you jump into anything? Great. It's open any moment of any day until the end of time. And I love that, right? But also we do have those great communities, and we also have a new Alpha coming April 4th, which is a Thursday. It's the Thursday after Easter. So whether you know people or don't know people, have a deep faith, don't have a deep faith, you're welcome at Alpha. It'll be a time where we come together. I think it's at 6 to 7:30.
Yes.
So it's Thursday nights for 10 Thursdays straight in the Cathedral Hall. Food is provided, which is always good. And it's free. It's absolutely free. And it's great discussion. You meet some phenomenal people, and it's all centered really around, is there more to life than this, than just waking up and doing stuff and going to bed and doing it again? So if you're looking for that, please feel free to join us. You can find out more about that either in our bulletin, on our webpage. There's flyers in the back of church. We're going to be at the masses on Easter handing them out. So there's a lot of opportunities to connect, and we would love for you to connect with someone today. If you feel like you need to be seen, please just come and join us. It was a great show today. I loved being on this conversation.
Me too.
And we hope you enjoyed it as well. Please share it, like it, subscribe, all the fun things. And we'll see you next time on Happy Hour.